So when we look at investing, do you believe also with the technology and with the way the world has changed, America may have been the last century, Asia, so many people say, is this century, but is it really potentially the globe is this century, meaning that we will see the best of the United States, the best of South America, the best of Asia without borders? Or do you think the borders are going to get worse because of...
Mary, we have a new president. He ran on two basic platforms. One, I'm going to tax capital. Now, this is a world where capital is extremely short right now. And this genius, I didn't vote for McCain, by the way. This genius has come up with a plan. I'm going to tax capital. That's going to solve our problems. Oh my God, aren't you worried? His other platform was protectionism. He's going to protect us all from those evil foreigners. No, the world is closing off, if anything. That's what caused the Depression. That's what caused the Second World War. And here's a man who says, well, I'm going to do that too. Please, you're saying the world's opening up?
It has been. Now, whether it does or it continues to do so, we'll see. But technology, in a way, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, right? I mean, it's out there.
You know, there's no question about that. There's no question that we all are going to have the
You may try
internet.
protectionism. You may try to close off. You can't.
Well, you can for a while. You can cause disasters, and then somebody has to come along and mess it up, especially if it leads to war. Yeah, I mean, people have been making mistakes for thousands of years, and they will continue. There is no question that my children will probably never go to a post office in their lives, you know. My children may never see an account in their lives because it's all going to be on the internet. Yes, technology has changed dramatically. Does that mean we can't have mistakes and disasters and wars again? Oh, I hope you're right, Mary, but...
I wish I was saying that, because then I'd be a little more optimistic than I am. But certainly with the borders, you can pull resources today the way you couldn't even 15 years ago.
America's making it very difficult to even come here as a tourist. You know how hard there are people who won't even come to America anymore. I know banks who will not take Americans as clients. Banks all over the world refuse to take American citizens but you can't even walk into a bank and open a bank account in many countries in the world if you're an American, because America's closing off more and more and more. No, everything you said about the technology is correct. Unfortunately, the execution and the implementation in some countries is getting worse. They're trying to close it off to the rest of the world. Saudi Arabia, they say you can't use the internet unless they approve it. Myanmar, you can't use the internet unless they approve it. I mean, these are all absurd. I mean, it's like trying to stop the tide, but people are trying it.
It's there. It's a good point. So when we look at what's ahead, then it is, you say, the strength right now. Certainly, there's some strength in Russia with energy. Yes, there's a lot of strength in South America, but Asia, they have the capital. They are creditor nations, as you point out. That's where the wealth is.
Throughout history, the power has followed the money. I mean, you know, I don't have to tell you that. You know that as well as I do. And right now, unfortunately, America is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. The whole world, there's never been a debtor nation like us, unfortunately. 30 years ago, we were a big creditor nation. Now we're the largest debtor nation the world has ever seen. The assets are elsewhere, and history has always meant that people go where the money is. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, that is what has happened, as you point out. It is where you go, sometimes you go whether you want to or not.
Of course.
Because it's where the opportunities are. You go where you have to go, right?
There was mass immigration into America 150 years ago because this is where the opportunity was. You're going to see more and more people going elsewhere now.
The one thing, and that's an interesting point, because the United States it may not be anymore since 9/11, as you point out, immigration, we put up walls. But it was a place where anybody could come. And some of the best minds, some of the brightest people, some of the poorest, brightest people on the planet came to the United States. There are a lot of very smart, very poor people in Asia, so they have a great pool of resources there, but it is also not as open. It isn't as porous, where you can get, you had the opportunity to move there, but a lot of people can't just pack up and move to Asia. It is not as open as the United States was. Is that an issue? Would that be a problem? Or is it the fact that they have such an amazing population in and of themselves, they don't need the rest of us?
Well, everybody needs outside ideas, outside capital, outside expertise. The idea that you can just close off. Many countries have tried. In 1962, Burma was the richest country in Asia. Now it's about the poorest, because in 1962 they said, we don't want any more foreigners. We're not going to let foreigners come here with their brains, their ideas, or anything else. Closed down. Ghana in 1957 was the richest country in the British Empire. The richest country, and they said, no more foreigners. We don't want the foreigners. We're going to throw the foreigners out. Within 6 years, they were bankrupt, had a military coup because they were a total disaster. Many countries have tried to close off throughout history. It has always led to problems. You need outside blood, fresh blood. You need outside ideas. You need outside capital. Sure, go ahead and close off. North Korea did it. You see the results. I mean, it just doesn't work. Cuba did it. You see the results. It just doesn't work. But to your more specifically to Asians, yes, some countries are closing off or have and are closed off more and more. But people are starting to move to those places because that's where the opportunities are, and they're starting to try to attract some of them.
Tell me about your experience in Singapore. In many ways, they call Singapore Asia for beginners, China for beginners, right? Because you can speak English there and get along. Just in fact, English is the co-language there. Right. It's Mandarin, Chinese, and English, right? Yes. How has your experience been there, as living there and putting roots down there?
Oh, it's terrific. My little girl goes to the public school, and she loves the public school. I have another little girl now who was born there in the local hospital. No, we're keen. We like it a whole lot. You can do just about anything in Singapore. My wife has been to more rock concerts in Singapore in a year than she went to in New York, probably the whole time she lived here. No, it's a open and vibrant place to be. It's not for everybody. Nothing is for everybody, but so far we're having a lot of fun.
A very international community in Singapore.
Oh, yeah, very extremely international. They're trying to attract. They want foreigners to come. They're begging foreigners to come. In fact, maybe 20% of the population now are foreigners, and they're saying, "Come, we want you. If you're smart and we got that capital, etc. Come on in. We'll let you in. We need you."
So if you've got something to offer, they want you. Yeah,
absolutely. They are trying to control to make sure they have successful or competent people. They probably wouldn't let me in, but they let my wife and children in. So.
And unfortunately, you just came with a package.
I came with a package. I was part of it. Yes.
And your advice to somebody who is saying, I want to look into this myself, I want to consider, or somebody who already has been researching it, to say that, there are other opportunities in the globe. Maybe for somebody else it is South America, maybe for somebody else it's Africa. To make that move, to make that commitment, what's it take? How many times did you visit? Tell me a little bit about how you.
I've been going to Singapore for many years. We wanted to be in Asia because A, Asia we think is the future. B, we want our children to grow up speaking Chinese, and that you pretty much have to be in Asia to do that successfully. So we looked all around, and we looked all around the world. In fact, as you know, I drove around the world twice looking at places. We decided on Asia in the end, but I mean, listen, your forebears came here from somewhere. Mine came here from somewhere. They made a decision. I'm packing up and leaving, and I'm going to this country where I don't know anybody or anything, and frequently they did not know the languages. This whole country is full of people like that. Some of them were forced to come here from Africa, but they're not going back. They like it here, but if they want to go back, they can go wherever they want to. Everybody can do that now. You just have to figure out what you want out of life. You have to figure out where you want to be, and you have to then just do some homework, bite your tongue, close your eyes, and do it. It's not very hard. The worst part is the anticipation. The worst part of many things is the anticipation, but once you do it, you find a great relief, and then it's exciting. At least it has been for us.